Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are watching this. Welcome to Speed Gaming 4. We have got a Pokemon Crystal Cinco Bingo brackets round match here between Friend of Mr. Golem120 on your left, Rob the Gamer115 on your right. I'm not going to do math too much, but that seems like there's 235 in those numbers. That's a lot of math this early in the morning on a Sunday. I am TGE. I am with Snowbear. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. We got a nice match this morning. Friend of Mr. Golem is 1-1 in his matches. Rob is 0-2. So this is sort of Rob's tournament life online.
Yeah, nothing quite like a sort of do-or-die match here to get your morning started. This is one of those weird sort of winning things, as you mentioned. If Rob loses, he has been eliminated from the brackets. If Rob wins, however, that puts him at 1-2, put friend Mr. Golem at 1-2, which really makes their last matches in the brackets very, very interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, the most of the part from what we've seen is about 2 wins is usually enough to get through, either to the seeds or as a wild card, but nothing's been set in stone yet. But our racers are both off and to the races right now.
Yeah, so what we're going to be seeing here, at least to start off with, is going to be going through all the text is a little fast. We're going to be seeing which one each of our players are going to choose as their sort of main Pokemon. If you haven't seen a Crystal Cinco Bingo before, unlike a normal playthrough of a Pokemon game where you have yourself a team of 6 and you go through, when you're doing a bingo, we're doing a speed run, when you're doing anything like this, you pretty much choose one Pokemon and they're going to get you through. You're going to be looking for something that's going to have not necessarily powerful stats, but powerful moves, because in the early game, the power of the moves can get you through, whereas the stats cannot.
Yeah, so we usually tend to go to 1-1, and so we got Corsola in here, we have Xatu, and what's our third?
Stantler.
Stantler is the most solid of them all, but Xatu is pretty good too.
Yeah, we see Rob having a little bit of decision paralysis here, figuring out if he wants to go with the Stantler or the Xatu. Ultimately ends up picking the Stantler, and what that does mean is that both of our players are going to have the exact same information when it comes to rival fights. Now, information is something, basically, if you see a Pokemon, it gets added into your Pokedex as sort of encyclopedia if you've never played it before, and it can give you information on where it is located to catch it. As you can see on the card in the middle, there is a bunch of Pokemon that we need to catch here, although that's a good one.
Although, unfortunately, neither of them have Pokeballs this early on. Although, wow, that Stantler has a teleport, so that'll help them with a lot of their movement stuff in the early beginning part. One of the things that we kind of skipped over briefly is that both of our players set it to Sunday. So there's kind of a small reason with that, and that happens to be that TM Return Frustration goal, which is only on Sundays.
Yes, and with this card not having any goals that involve the bug catching contest, it makes sense to do that so you can get the goals. And that's one of the things when you're playing a game or playing a Cinco Bingo like this, is understanding which day to set your game to so you know which goals you can get, which goals you can't get.
Looks like friend of Mr. Golem got an Aerodactyl. We're kind of got some pauses there, resyncing the cards. But Aerodactyl is a very solid Pokemon to start out with.
Yeah. Also, more important than that, Rob just got some information about one of the things here. Rob found a Mew there on the first route.
Ah, that's right. That is very good. That is the top right goal, which, if he's lucky, he'll be able to find again. Every route into the grass has 7 different slots. We have 2 that are 20%, 2 that are 15%, and 3 that are 10%. So, it's more likely than not you'll find it, but that first route tends to be really trollish, and likes to show Pokemon that are the lower percents on your first time through, before you have Pokeballs.
Yeah, and there's the Stantler's teleports coming into play, because basically what teleport does is it returns you to the last Pokemon Center that you used. So by using it, it means you don't have to walk all the way back. We just immediately back to the Pokemon Center, and we are into the first rival fight.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that even if you didn't get to that one center, if you didn't center immediately there, when you talk to Mr. Pokemon, it actually sets your teleport point to Cherry Grove.
The more you know.
It's only that one time, though, so...
Yeah, but for fans of Rival here, don't worry, we'll see at least one more Rival fight because we have to fight him before we leave Azalea Town.
We'll see him actually at least 3 times, because we'll see him also in Burn Tower, where he shoves you down a hole.
Right, well, there is the Mew that we saw earlier here on Route 29. Friend of Mr. Go, I'm going to go ahead and grab it, and that means we are definitely going to see that goal lit up here really, really quickly.
Oh, and it has Spore, so that's a very good sleep move. Although today
well, that actually is going to cover 2 categories because we have the Mew, and right next door there's the Pokemon with a sleep-inducing move.
It also should actually help them with the non-volatile status of Sudowoodo, which is sleep.
And strangely enough, this is going to come towards a lot of goals. It also counts towards the 3 different genderless Pokemon, assuming it wants to get in the Pokeball.
Well, from a full percentage like that, it's a 1 in 3 chance, but that doesn't mean you can actually get it.
I mean, if you haven't played Pokemon, it's pretty simple. If you played Pokemon, a 1 in 9, an 8 in 9 chance is really a 1 in 9 chance because it doesn't matter. Like this game always tends to roll low on the percentages, or at least that's the way it feels when I play it.
Oh, we always joke that for example, 80% accuracy moves are really 80% mischance.
Same thing, exactly. Or you always never hit the additional riders on the moves, whether it be paralysis or burn, and the AI always does it.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, that's huge though. That Mew covers so many different goals. I'm just glad it's not another Mewtwo. The lucky thing, though, is for the Friend of Mr. Golem, is that once you talk to the Return the Mystery Egg, you do have 5 more Pokeballs that's given to you by the aid. So if he finds that Mew again, he has another 5 chances.
Yeah, so that's basically, the first part of the game isn't really going to be necessarily going through and looking for things like this. You're going to see Friend of Mr. Golem here probably try and find the Mew, although it could be a situation where we mark that down and come back for it later. You really want to get yourself progressing through so you have your movement abilities, your Surf, your Fly, so you can run back and forth and find the information as to where some of these Pokemon might be.
Hold on. Rob's stream is a little bit frozen. It's still going well on his, but it seems to be paused on our end, and the timer is from Rob's stream. It will be fixed shortly.
While that's happening, I have a question for you.
Alright.
You mentioned non-volatile status on Sudowoodo. 2 questions for people who might have never seen this before. Number 1, what is a non-volatile status? And number 2, does that mean it has to be to a Sudowoodo you find in the wild or the static Sudowoodo after Goldenrod?
So, to answer that first question, non-volatile status is anything that changes the level, basically the status in terms of with the level stuff. So that's burn, paralyze, poison, freeze, and sleep. Basically those are the ones that are retained when you pull out the Pokemon and then you put it back in. And to answer your second question, yes. We count both a wild Sudowoodo, or even on a trainer, and the static one. You're actually more expected to be able to do the static one since that's guaranteed each ROM. But, if you find a wild Sudowoodo, or even fight one, there you go. And
there we go. Both of our runners have now caught the Mew. So there is that going for them. That is our first box cut up here, and it is going to give them access to 3 things: row 1, column 5, and the bottom left diagonal.
Well, our runner should know that the Mew has a sleep move, but
right, but you know, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily remember it, so you'll check it later. That's not a huge deal to not mark it off right now. What is a huge deal is Rob over there on our right-hand side has found a Crobat that has Sweet Scent. Sweet Scent is a very, very important move here in this style of randomizer race because, as you can see, you use Sweet Scent and it automatically gives you an encounter. No having to run around. You just hit the button and boom, here you go.
it actually saves them having to use this. It saves them for having to do use the TM later that you get.
Speaking of things that are pretty good here, we do have a Chansey over on Friend of Mr. Golem's side, and Chanseys and their evolved form Blissies, if you do not know, are notorious for giving lots and lots and lots of experience.
The one thing you hate to see, though, is try using special moves on those. They take forever. They have no defense, but their special defense is really high.
Yes, so yeah, the Chansey line is known for having high HP values and a massively high special defense stat.
So for the Flamethrower Entei versus Psybeam Mew or Rockslide and Aerodactyl, those are all fairly good choices. I think, to be honest, I'd probably more lean towards the Aerodactyl or Entei. More likely the Aerodactyl, because you get the higher experience curve levels, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah, so continuing on, we do have fighting our trainers here, just getting some experience, trying to figure out which Pokemon we're going to be using as a main here.
It looks like, I think Friend of Mr. Golem is settling on that Entei, which is a good choice. Although Entei is more of a physical Pokemon, having Flamethrower is always something useful. It has a good special attack as well, which is not as good as its physical. It's speedy, it has the bulk, it's just generally solid.
Yeah, so for those who might not know what we're referring to here, if you've never played a game, of course, Pokemon come with different stats. HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. This was the first generation where the special attack and special defense were shifted. In this particular case, the stats are separated, but attacks are not split into whether it's a physical attack or a special attack based on what it is. In this generation, it's a physical attack or a special attack based on its type. So fire, in this case, since Entei is a fire-type Pokemon, fire is special. So any moves it would get from having bonus damage from it being a fire-type Pokemon and a fire move is unfortunately a special attack in this generation. There are some Pokemon that benefit from that. There are others that don't benefit from that. Flareon comes to mind for me.
Yeah, a lot of the fire types tend to be more physical type attacking in this generation. However, they do get a little boost when a Pokemon uses a move of the same type. It gets what's called a stat bonus or same type attack bonus, which is 1.5 times damage. So having that is usually a pretty good modifier in addition to whatever you have, even if it's the wrong stat. Wrong stat being the less optimal attacking stat. So it looks like Rob has settled on the Mew, which is a good all-rounder. It's got 100 stats all around.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is that we've not only found the Mew early, we also found the Entei, the Articuno, 3 quote-unquote legendary Pokemon, which is also super early to find the genderless Pokemon, which to me is absolutely fascinating, because I was expecting, oh, there'll be an Electro in here, and something like that. No, let's just go ahead, let's just rock 3 legendaries, let's not even worry about it, let's just, completely go crazy with it.
The one downside to doing legendaries is that although their stats are high, they have a slower experience curve. We have equalized the experience curves for all the Pokemon so that all Pokemon that aren't legendary / mythical have a medium fast or medium something experience curve, whereas all the legendaries have a slow curve. So you'll often see the legendaries being a couple levels below their non-legendary cohorts.
No, that's perfectly understandable and perfect question. Now, here's the question I have for you here, while we're trying to figure out and get some stuff taken care of here. Looking at when you look at a bingo card, do you look at it and go, okay, I'm immediately going to try and go after this row or this column or this diagonal, or do you let the game sort of tell you where you want to go?
I have some general ones in mind. There's always some guaranteed goals, and so you try to plan out based on the guaranteed goals, and you kind of fill in just your path whenever the game gives you stuff, usually with info. However, a lot of the time I won't set my path in stone until after I get Fly, which is when I start checking the Pokedex for where all that info was, and if anything was, well, good, or is the info that I have, well, not reasonable. For example, Pokemon only being in Mount Silver, there's no way I'm getting it.
Okay, another question here while we're healing at the Pokemon Center. We've just defeated, we got the Zephyr Badge here. You mentioned earlier the TM21 or TM27 goal. Now, in parentheses, it has frustration or return, but I noticed that, well, TMs are randomized. So I'm assuming that means you grab the TM that's in the slot where it normally is?
Well, the parentheses is what the original goals are, or the original moves are from the TMs, so if you remember that, we go by the TM numbers. So, yeah, the moves on the TMs are all randomized, with the exception of field moves. So that's Sweet Scent, Headbutt, Rock Smash, and Dig. So, in this case, you want either one of those. So if you happen to grab a Pokemon that happens to have one of those TMs attached, that's your goal. There you go. There's also some random TMs in the ground that could potentially be randomized into that as well.
Right, so you see friend of Mr. Golem over here going and purposely fighting trainers that he doesn't have to fight because of that max phone book goal, because that's honestly, it takes a little bit, but it's a fairly easy goal to go ahead and acquire.
Yeah, so you have 10 phone numbers you can store in your phone book. You will always have Professor Elm and your mom in the phone book, so that's 2 free numbers. You can't delete them. And then you have to get a combination of 8 somewhere else. So that could be from trainers, which is the most part. You can even get Bill's number. There's all sorts of numbers you can get. A lot of the ones we've chosen is trainers that have 1 or 2 Pokemon. So in these early routes, you'll see them fight a couple of them that are kind of right there because they have 1 or 2 pokes. In this case, you'll actually probably see them fight a specific trainer, the Black Belt, to get his number on Route 45. Since that is their central goal, and it would be most optimal for them.
Yeah, we can address Route 45 when we get to it there, absolutely. We are down here in the basement of Union Cave there. We're not sure what TM we just saw friend of Mr. Golem pick up. We can get that information to you as soon as we can. But we did find a lemonade down there, and I don't know about you, but I don't think I want to drink cave floor lemonade.
don't know, tastes good for me. I mean,
That explains so much, just that one statement. So here we are now in Azalea Town over on FriendOfMrGolem's side, and there are 2 events we have to do to get ourselves out of Azalea Town. One, we have to go do the Slowpoke Well, where we get the reintroduction of Team Rocket from the Red, Blue, Yellow games. And we also, as mentioned earlier, we do have to exit to the left into the Ilex Forest and fight the second rival battle. And it turns out the TM we got in the bottom of the cave was Mega Punch.
he conspicuously didn't sell that one. He may be keeping that one instead of Skull Bash, or he might be using it. It's a decent move. It has some accuracy issues, but it's not too bad.
Right. Oh, I mean, I can definitely see keeping a move like that because aside from, there are certain types that, are going to resist it. But for the most part, a normal type move, you're going to get pretty good, decent damage out of it. And aside from a couple things, Steel, Rock, Ghost, you're going to be fine with using it on most people. So it gives you a decent amount of move coverage that is pretty fairly easy to use.
Yeah. What's been really funny though is just in general, it looks like kind of besides the early legendary, that early Mew that's provided a lot, we haven't had that much info as of yet. Because we do have some a good amount of Pokemon that we're gonna need to find in the wild. But we shouldn't be too concerned since there's a lot of mandatory trainers or trainers on the card that we can have plenty of time for.
Yeah. Also, the concept of a digging Charizard is absolutely hilarious to me, as well as there's a Wobbuffet over on Rob the Gamer side. It looks like Rob is not using repels here in the Union Cave, but there we go. Now we've got one on, because that's a couple encounters we've seen. That's another thing you're going to see here throughout this is, yes, we do need to find Pokemon, but at the same time, every fight you take right now takes up time. So repel is probably the most important purchase you're going to make when it comes to a Cinco Bingo randomizer. So you hope that don't use repels is never on your card.
Well, we got rid of that goal, so that's been replaced. That's one of, back in the heyday, that was one of the more controversial goals. But repels, so for example, Rob Gamer, I know from watching him a good amount, he generally doesn't like to repel. And one of the reasons not to repel early is that you'll find lots of potential information. The downside is that it's really a chance and you're slowing yourself down with each encounter. Most runners will repel the early routes, and then once you get Fly, some of them will just stop repelling, like I stopped repelling, because then I might encounter something that needs to be useful while it's not slowing down my progress.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk-reward sort of idea, and you see Rob the Gamer there picking up that Charmander. And I taking a look at it, it took me a second to realize why I think he was picking the Charmander up. But if you look at the end of row 3, there is stop the same Pokemon from evolving 4 times.
Yeah, so that's an easy evolution because that Charmander evolves at level 16, so you're fairly likely to be able to get that with some extra trainers on the card, like the Swimmers or Mineral Badge, so it's all good.
Especially also with the experience share on the card, makes it super easy.
Oh, that's right. The experience share is right there. I mean, a lot of times you'll just grab it anyways, which is what happens when you can turn in the red scale to Mr. Pokemon. Although, going back to the digging Charizard, I always have been fond of that kind of stuff. One of the interesting quirks about that is that because Charizard's a flying type, even if you could hit the Charizard underground, it would take no damage.
The little things you never see until things get randomized.
I mean, I think that's the beauty about randomizers. There's certain Pokemons you would never see run, but with randomizer, it opens up possibilities. Like, for example, most people didn't realize Girafarig is actually pretty decent. Girafarig and Stanley are both very decent. But that's because they're sort of locked behind kind of not so good moves in the vanilla games. So with the randomizer, it unlocks them.
Let's say if you're talking crap about my palindromatic giraffe, we might have issues.
So this is the interesting part, is that Friend of Mr. Golem is fighting that left twin. Twins in the normal game are coded as separate trainers, but they have basically what Pokemon they fight in kind of in the opposite order, representing double battle. But with the randomized Pokemon on the trainers, the sets of twins are completely separate information. So you'll often see someone, sometimes we'll see people fight different twins, which can be a different source of information, because once you fight one twin, you can't fight the other one.
Yep, we do have, moving on here, Bugsy was always an interesting Pokemon, at least an interesting gym when playing through the game for the first time, especially in Heart and Gold, Silver, Crystal, because you go through and the first two Pokemon he has are Kakuna and Metapod's. Like, oh, this isn't bad, this isn't bad. And then if you were completely unprepared, everyone talks about Whitney and the Miltank. Nobody talks about Bugsy's Scyther absolutely wrecking people with Fury Cutter.
Oh, that's one of the world nightmares. That's definitely the nightmare. Because it's a huge power spike and it's really unexpected.
I mean, I'm a big fan of it because Scizor is my favorite Pokemon, so seeing Scizor's pre-evolution, mwah.
I have a soft spot for it, although it dies horribly to fires. But it looks like Friend of Mr. Golem gets through Bugsy's gym, no problem. Meanwhile, we're kind of staring at, I guess, the mirror match in the well from Rob. Spider-Man meme very much.
Yep, we've made it through the well. On the right-hand side, we've made it through the well on the gym on the left-hand side. Now it is time for Rival. Rival starting out here with a Jump Up, and another interesting Pokemon. It doesn't necessarily tend to have a lot of powerful moves, but I was always a big fan of Jump Up, but that's because I'm a fan of these slow, methodical, Leech Seed, Sleep Powder, poison you out of the way sort of strategies. And we are going to have some information difference here. We have the right twin being fought on Rob's side. So unfortunately for Rob, the information that was being gained here with this Nidoking is negated because Rival also has the Nidoking, and Nidoking or Nidoqueen is on the card.
So yeah, Rob is totally fought different set of twins than Friend of Mr. Golem, and so while he does get the information, as you said, it is sort of a bummer that that doesn't kind of stay as an edge.
So going here, we have to help the Farfetch'd to get through the forest. Not too hard here in this version. It's a little bit trickier when you get to the Heart Gold, Soul Silver remakes. It involves stepping on some sticks to make the Farfetch'd, look your direction. Still not a hard little puzzle to do. And by getting through the puzzle, you go ahead and you acquire the HM01 cut. Not gonna lie, one of the things I'm super happy they finally got away from in other games is the HMs, because aside from Surf and Strength, they were pretty much all Garbo.
I mean, that's pretty true, yeah. That was one of the things that, although Surf and Strength for being HMs are often taught to the mains, that's why it's not a fairly uncommon thing to hear the Surf Strength fly main. When all else fails, those are the three moves you can rely on.
Oh, well, there's something. We have the Nido King information, and we don't need it because there's our Nido Queen.
So it's one of those interesting. So, yeah, the repel running out before this was just perfect for friend Mr. Golem. You'll see a lot of people repelling through Ilex Forest because you'll get bombarded by encounters. But once your repel runs out, it's with the movement, it's not too bad. And it looks like the Nido Queen is fairly common here. So if Rob's not repelling, he might find it too.
But now we are here in Goldenrod City, which is, at least on this side of the map, because in the Crystal version and the Heart and the Gold and Silver version, you play first here in the Johto side of things, and then you can go back to the Kanto side of things, where Red and Blue was took place. Goldenrod City here is the largest city here in the Johto side of things, which means, well, there's lots of things we can do, like go to the department store and buy TMs.
That's also where you would normally get the bike, although with the tournament settings, you have been generously provided the bike at the start, so no need to get a second bike. And friend of Mr. Golem is picking up that Kenya. Kenya is one of those interesting because it's given to you, and it's another Pokemon you can use. It's got a male, so you can turn it into the person who's sitting on Route 31 by the tree for TM50. But you could also, if you really want that Pokemon, you could take the male and put it onto a different Pokemon and still turn it in. The game actually looks for the male rather than whichever Pokemon it's on.
Yes, and when Snowbear says Kenya, he means that the Pokemon that you were given there has the nickname set of Kenya. Normally in the vanilla game it's a Spearow, and this is a randomizer, so it could be anything. It could even be a Spearow.
Yeah, so you see friend of Mr. Golem fighting that bug catcher and going through this way. These are both trainers with one Pokemon each, so they're very, very easy to beat and get quick phone book numbers, no problem. And then he's going to talk to the blue-haired girl, whose name I forget, but who's by the Sudowoodo, who's telling you there's a strange tree blocking the way.
Not only is it a strange tree, but it's a strange tree that wiggles.
It very much dislikes being squirted with water. Makes me think it's more like a cat than a tree.
I mean, if I'm standing there trying to enjoy the weather, I don't want to be squirted with water either. I mean, I know there's a splash zone type of thing when you're like sitting in a pool, but I don't want to be squirted unnecessarily with water.
So here's Mr. Friend of Mr. Golem using teleport to save some time of trekking all the way back because he's centered in the Goldenrod Center.
Yep. Also, we have on the right-hand side the happiest of dancing coconut trees. We have an Executor over on that, and that is one of our goals here, so we are going to see an Executor marked.
Is it a palm tree or is it a dragon? I can't remember. It depends.
It depends if you're in Hawaii or not. No, but I want to be a part of the Pokemon universe for one reason. Like, take a look at Pokemon. You've got Executor, you've got Wooper. These two Pokemon, neither one of them have arms, yet they are always so happy looking. Be that happy, everybody. Be as happy as a Wooper or an Executor.
I mean, you can't. I mean, Wooper's the face of mercy.
But we do have the infamous Whitney fight here, and we have a Hitmonlee as our first one. And we do have the Hitmonlee being poisoned here by a Sludge Bomb, so that's going to be a quick and easy thing down. Although, I still maintain, and friends of mine will maintain this too, fighting should be weak to poison because it slowly degrades the body.
Well, I mean, with the same sense that water itself doesn't conduct electricity, it's the minerals inside the water that does.
That's getting way too analytic. Like, you don't go in the water in a thunderstorm. You just don't.
Now the real question is, so friend Mr. Golem's got this Entei, and that might be hard to status the Pokemon if it's considered weak, or depending on its typing. Although on the other hand, Rob just found Ditto in that same route that friend Mr. Golem found the Nidoqueen on.
Yeah, so he found the Ditto there. We did not find the Nidoqueen, which is interesting. And now we are on our way to the mysterious tree to see what the Sudowoodo is.
And hopefully he saves. Yeah, one of the common things is it's very inconvenient. If you forget the status of the Sudowoodo, it's very often hard to find another one.
That's a big bear.
Let's go, Big Bear. I'm always a fan of Big Bear. Very good. And it's got roll out. It's runnable. I mean, bear's always runnable. The Big Bear is the evolution to my favorite Pokemon. I've always been a fan of Teddiursa.
I mean, nothing wrong with Teddiursa. It is absolutely adorable.
Also, welcome to all the people from Random Media who are rating us. Wow. Welcome to this match. This is Crystal Cinco Bingo match. This is one of our tournament group stage matches. So welcome in, everyone. As we're kind of midway through, we got a friend of Mr. Golem in the lead progress-wise, but we have both of them having lots of different goals.
Yeah, so we did go ahead in the Pokemon Center there, and we talked to Bill. Eventually, when we make our way back to Goldenrod City, he will give us a Pokemon. Normally in the vanilla game, it's an Eevee, which would be great for the Eeveelutions goal, but yeah, no, again, randomized, so not happening. Rob the Gamer also going ahead and going to use the teleport we saw a friend of Mr. Golem use earlier. Rob is now going to make his way into the Goldenrod City gym, which, if viewed from above, does look like a Clefairy if you've never seen it before.
That's always one of those amazing things, is the design. Although I thought the Clefairy was shaped like a gym. So now so friend of Mr. Golem is fighting the Kimono Girls. We each have different Pokemon. Normally they're evolutions, and the reward for that is getting the HM Surf, which is basically your go-to special move. So on this Entei, it would be pretty solid.
Randomizers are always fun for me for this particular reason, because of the HM move Surf. Because there is just something funny about seeing, like, and here, you know, they're all allowed to learn the moves, but, you know, when you're playing Randomizer where there's restrictions where they might not be able to learn all the moves, and you go through and you look and you have, you know, you're sitting there, you got a beautiful Blastoise ready to go, and you're like, well, this can't learn Surf, and then you look, but yet my 700-pound Snorlax can learn Surf. This is gonna be fun. So that Magneton that Rob the Gamer just fought there is actually very good, because Rob doesn't quite have the 3 different genderless Pokemon yet. Magneton's genderless Pokemon, so that's information he can use later.
Yeah. Definitely. And then friend of Mr. Coleman coming up is going to fight the rival 3, and then we have basically our favorite guessing game of who's those roamers.
Come on, it was right there. It's who's that Pokemon? That's what they did in the anime. It was right there. It was right there.
I mean, it is who's that Pokemon, but I prefer the roamers.
Yeah, so if you are good at knowing what cry is what, when we get down there, we will keep our mouths quiet for a second so you can hear. So turn your volume up a little bit so you can hear what's going to be there. And we'll go ahead and play Who's That Pokemon. You got 3 options here, 3 guesses. So keep your ears out. But first, we better go ahead and fight the Corsola, which we knew was coming, as well as the Pinsir, which should still be a fighting type. I maintain Pinsir should be a bug fighting type, just like Heracross. But alas, no one's going to listen to me. And it's like the game knows. I mentioned 700-pound Snorlax, and there it is. So, friend of Mr. Golem, I was going to say, does Mr. Golem kill a Golem? But clearly, yes.
It is his favorite Pokemon, but sadly sometimes you're forced to hurt the ones you love the most.
I suppose. But anyway, here we go. We're going to be quiet for a minute. So, take a listen. All right, chat, here's your chance. Who were those Pokemon?
To be honest, I have a hard time getting that. Although I think, if I heard correctly, one of them might be
Snowbear. Question for you. Are you chat? No, I'm just kidding. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I mean, I'm in the chat. I'm just a viewer who happens to also have a microphone on.
I'm still not sure who you bribed to get the microphone, but anyway, go right ahead. I set it up. I had to, but go right ahead. Who was that Pokemon? Hey, look, Blastoise.
I can't tell. I would have to look at the log for that one. I'm not sure I have that.
That's no fun. That's cheating if you look at the log.
If I did... Those are... See, I'm not one who's very good at that. Because the cries were similar to ones I had general familiar on, but a lot of them do sound alike, and they weren't as distinctive as I was hoping they would be. Perhaps we'll encounter one of them as they travail.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. There's definitely something to be said about running into one of the roamers, which, by the way, are at level 40, catch you and be like, yeah, I had a level 24. Now I have a level 40. Let's go.
We've had a couple people who've switched, actually, before Morty, so... I mean, it's not uncommon to find them. It's a little bit easier if you have the radio card, and it's on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, so you can have the Pokemon March going.
I could definitely be there, but we do have some Aerodactyl happening over there. I love the screen we have, but fossil Pokemon, legendary Pokemon, and then just there was a random Poliwhirl. Poor Poliwhirl. I mean, don't get me wrong, Poliwhirl is awesome. And that is some very, very good information for friend of Mr. Golem over there at that Eevee, because we do have the Eeveelutions goal here. So that means catch a couple of Eevees, go buy some evolution stones, and bing, bang, boom, you're done.
Yeah, that's really good. So what kind of the goals are, it's everything's sort of getting sorted out a little bit. From our perspectives, we can see that rows 1 and rows 2 and columns 1 and 2 are very doable. I'm sorry, row 2 is not necessarily doable yet. We don't know where that Onyx Scyther is. But row 1, column 2 are all doable. With the potential for row 3 as well. Actually, row 3 is guaranteed. Assuming you can catch a Pokemon that is lower level, or they can stop evolving 4 times. So you did see Rob the Gamer pick up that item finder in that house left before Friend of Mr. Golem. One of the things is sometimes people will hold off on picking up that item finder because that does reveal your location. So a lot of times people will grab it before they get fly, but a lot of times they'll also grab it after they get fly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you definitely have to consider when doing anything like this, especially when you're going up against one person, or maybe there's a group race going, is who puts what when and what they put before or after, because you can sort of metagame as to when they're doing it. And to answer the question that I know will come up in chat, there is no hard rule about it, but common courtesy says you pick it up, you click the button. You catch the Pokemon, you click the button.
Well, it has to be marked. Like the sleep moves. Which both of our runners should have been very well aware of since it was using sleep moves against them.
Right, but that's one of those you don't necessarily think off the top of your head. You've got 45 other things going on, like catching the Pokemon with the sleep moves. I mean, they both had the mute, so they both had it. It's not like either one of them was getting any other information from that. So, you know, that, hey, I haven't checked the moves yet, no big deal. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Things like that, shouldn't be worried about. But we do have Kingdra over there, which is a very interesting Pokemon here in the second generation. Because of its typing, it's only weak to Dragon-type moves. And in second generation, there wasn't a whole lot of them, although there was more than what there was in the first generation. Dragon-type moves. In first generation, there was simply Dragon Rage, which did a flat 40 damage. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, actually, we tend to have those moves banned because early game Dragon Rage is the scariest thing to see, since I will one-shot you most of the time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Unless you're maining a Chansey, which has like stupid HP, then yes, the Dragon Rage will one-shot you just because of the nature of the beast. Which, don't get me wrong, when running other randomizers and you're doing a Nuzlocke, which is a challenge run where if something faints, it's gone forever, Dragon Rage is the absolute scariest thing to see.
There are a lot of moves out there, definitely, that are very scary to see. But in the meantime, it seems like Friend of Mr. Golem's gonna get strength, so that should be an upgrade on a physical move for that Entei.
He'll probably replace the Mega Punch TM that he taught it.
Yeah, so the Entei has gone pretty well. So Friend of Mr. Golem's making very good pace. We generally like to say about sub-hour fly is pretty golden, so he's definitely on pace for that. Oh, actually, he does not. Oh, he teaches Surf to Kenya. And then he's teaching Strength to Stantler.
Interesting.
I guess he's pretty satisfied with his moveset.
I mean, Sludge Bomb, Mega Punch, Giga Drain, and Flamethrower seems pretty solid.
It is pretty solid. Although I'd be more willing to get rid of Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain for Surf Strength. But that's just me.
The more I look at all the sprites here, because you had the Slowpoke and the Blastoise, the more that every sprite in this game just feels like it's super happy. Like even Scizor, which is supposed to be and I love me some Scizor, it's supposed to be an angry sort of mad Pokemon. Even that Scizor just looks happy to be here. Like everything in this game just looks so happy.
I mean, you can't discount the Happy Flower.
We don't talk about that.
So it's interesting. So Friend of Mr. Golem taking sort of an interesting path for the swimmers, because there are many swimmers out there. And a lot of them have one or two pokes, as long as you don't hit the one that's spinning with 6 pokes. And so it's not too bad to kind of mix match whichever ones you are. But I prefer, for example, to go from Cianwood and just fight 6 of them in the middle of the Whirl Islands. But it's also very common to see, for example, people fighting 3 and 3, 3 in the front, and then 3 once you go from Cianwood. Well, it looks like he's just getting down the paths right now, getting them all done right now.
Well, that's the beauty of games like this, is you can sit there and you can have other people take completely different paths. And also, one thing of note, the reason I think that, and actually I can confirm it with the bingo card here, that the Friend of Mr. Golem taught strength to the Stantler as opposed to the Entei, is because that made Stantler have 4 normal type moves.
Yeah. So
which is the 4 move sharing its type box.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Very good. One of the interesting things, though, as well, is that when you have, for example, stop evolving Pokemon 4 times on the card, a lot of times you will save those fights for later, because then you don't have to go out of your way to get them evolved. So it's interesting that he's taking care of it now, whereas doing it first lets you have more information to potentially get better bingo goals on.
I mean, and again, that's the absolute beauty of things like this. You can have people who want to do it, you know, I want to do all these fights at the end when I'm at the highest possible level. Or it's like, no, I want to do all these fights now when I'm, you know, so I can gain the levels and do it more, do it better. So to me, when it comes to randomizers, no matter what the randomizer is, if there is a chance to see differing strategies and differing ideas about how to go about it, that's one of the best things about the randomizer. The other best thing, of course, being it takes games that we loved as children, when we played as kids, and basically gives us a new experience with them every time we play it. Isn't that just what we want? Is just to love what we were learning all over again?
Absolutely. Although some of us like to play to torment ourselves. But generally,
that's
it's
your own fault, Snowbear.
Look, it's not my fault that my ROMs are just horribly bad.
All I'm going to say is that there is no single person who is responsible for a good or bad style of ROM when it comes to any sort of seed that a randomizer plays. It is strictly luck of the draw when a ROM is generated, when a seed is generated. So, yeah, you can say you have bad ones all you want, you know, but ultimately it's just luck of the draw.
It is true.
We do have a Mr. Mime over here on Rob the Gamer's side, which, interestingly enough, Mr. Mime having the name of Mr. Mime in Generation 1 of Pokemon before they actually gave Pokemon's genders, aside from the Nidoran clan, the Nidoran male and female. So having the gendered name Mr. Mime was very interesting there. It was a nice, interesting choice for the English translation. For those wondering, if you don't know, the Japanese name for Mr. Mime is Berryard.
I did not know that. I am more fond of the Japanese name for coughing, which is Dogars, which is referred to, I think, several times in Black and White.
Yeah, specific. Black 2 and White 2, specifically with Roxy because of her band going after coughing and being themed after coughing. So it's Black 2, White 2.
I haven't played much of the games beyond the 3rd generation, so I have very little information on that.
So hold on. You haven't played games past the 3rd generation, yet you're effectively named after a Pokemon from past generations past 3rd.
Look, that came after. Everyone's all like, wait, your favorite Pokemon isn't Cubchoo? I go, not especially, no. I mean, I like it, I love bears. But no, it's been Teddiursa, always.
No, I'm just disappointed you haven't played the game with Cubchoo and Beardick.
I have played a game with it, Pokemon Conquest.
That doesn't count.
I'd argue it counts more.
I mean, I'd argue you're brave for admitting you played it, but...
It's actually a really underrated game. I'm not gonna lie. Although it does get repetitive. Much more than normal ones.
So now we are over on the left-hand side. We are in the Cyanwood City Gym. And this is one of the wonderful little things that the English translations of Pokemon had a lot of fun with some of the fighting types. So if you'll notice, the two main fighting types, I say main because they're the ones you get in the dojo in Generation 1, Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, naming after Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Well, you got to have a little bit more fun here since you had a sort of wink and a nod there. Well, you come here to Cyanwood Gym, and you have the gym leader, Chuck Norris.
Look, man, all I know is he throws boulders, and how do I know he's not The Rock?
No, he's definitely Chuck Norris because there's just another fist behind the beard.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. And if you got him, chat, this is your chance. Throw in your Chuck Norris jokes as long as they're appropriate. This is now the chance to do it,
So on the other side, you'll see Rob is climbing that lighthouse, setting up for that mineral badge. You have to go talk to Jasmine at the top of the lighthouse to be able to go to the pharmacy on Cinewood to pick up the secret potion to cure her Ampharos Amphi.
Also, the other fun thing about randomizers is you get moves that, you look and they don't necessarily make sense, like that Togetic, for example. How did it use Mega Punch? It has these little tiny stubby arms.
Very carefully.
I mean, that's a fair answer. Like, it's not a wrong answer at all. It's an absolutely fair answer here. The other thing we can pick up here on Cyanwood, in addition to the secret potion, is Shucky, another one of these gift Pokemon that comes with a nickname. Normally, in the vanilla game, Shucky is a Shuckle, hence the name Shucky. Shuckle is a Pokemon that has low HP, low attack, low special attack, but absolute loads and mounds of defense.
The nice thing also is to get Fly, which is your movement, your ticket to movement basically for the rest of the game. And looks like Friend of Mr. Golem's even picking up... Oh, no. Not quite picking up the Bill's poke. Oh. I guess he went into the wrong place. So I actually did not see what Shucky was today, but hopefully they'll show us what Shucky is. And kindly, his sister does give you Bill's phone number, which is another free phone book number.
We have a boom bug over there on our right-hand side, the Pineco, and the Eevee was an Elekid, which is interesting. Elekid also another new sort of mechanic introduced here in the Gold, Silver, Crystal series, and that is baby Pokemon. Elekid, Magby, Igglybuff, Cleffa, Smoochum, all of these sort of pre-evolutions of Pokemon that came in the first generation.
And you see here, Friend of Mr. Golem actually going in this path that's with the Strength Boulder, and that is to fight the Super Nerd in Mount Mortar. There are two Super Nerds in Mount Mortar. This is by far the easiest one to fight, because it just requires Strength. If you're insane, you can always climb the waterfall and fight one up at the waterfall, but nobody does that.
So yeah. Mount Mortar, of course, this giant mountain here in this northern sort of section of Johto that basically is spanning the entire path between Mahogany Town, where we fought.
That's Ecruteak, sorry.
Yeah. Yes,
where we fought Morty.
Yes. Ecruteak, where we fought Morty. I can't talk. Don't worry about me. And over to Mahogany Town and Lake of Rage, where we'll fight Price to get the Glacier Badge. I had my towns right, just in the wrong location on the map, okay? Geography's not my strong suit!
Yeah. And it looks like Shucky was a Weeping Bell. So... Unfortunately, Victory Bell Vileplume is not on the card today.
But one of the things, I haven't mentioned it yet, but I just sort of wanted to mention it now as we saw what Shucky was. I love the fact that in Crystal, you got, when the Pokemon sprites appeared on screen, you get a little, or at least in the Pokedex, you get the little sort of like sprite movement. And I love the fact that the Weeping Bell is just the leaf like spinning around twice, almost like it's trying to salute you. That's just awesome.
It is really nice to see the little animations when you kind of select them first. We have Friend of Mr. Golem fighting the Pokemaniac. I'm a little bit confused about why. since that's not on the card, and this one does not have a phone book number. That I'm aware of.
Sometimes you just want to kill things.
So there is always that light coverage shiny Pokemon, and everyone goes, "Oh my gosh!" You know, because you'll see the it's never mind. He's also find that fisherman who has a phone number, very good. Since it seems like it got skipped through, but there's always that shiny. When we see catch a shiny, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, how do you catch a shiny? It's so hard!" But luckily, in this game, you always have the red Gyarados, which is a shiny, and in this case, the Gyarados is randomized. So it will be randomized to a different shiny Pokemon.
Speaking of that, if you have never seen a shiny Pokemon, they're just different colors and have a little sparkle. And while we're doing this here, chat, what is your favorite shiny Pokemon? Because, let's get that questions out of the way. What's your all's favorite shiny Pokemon? Well, Snow Bear wins because we've got Shiny Bear.
Although it's Mint Bear, it looks good. Although I do like the regular coloration a little bit better. Although refuses to fight it, just throws a Pokédoll at it, goes, "Here, just be on your merry way."
Yeah, so if we're talking about, a shiny Pokemon and all that, I'm not going to lie. Like, I've already said Scizor is my favorite Pokemon. Gold Scizor is nice, but not the best. But if we want to go forward a couple of generations, we've already talked about Black 2, White 2 already once. But the Roggenrola line, specifically Gigalith. Shiny Gigalith is gorgeous. Gigalith normally has these red sort of gem spikes coming out of it, but shiny Gigalith, those are blue, and it is fantastic. Do yourself a favor, if you're sitting here watching this at your computer, go look up shiny Gigalith. And take a look at that. We've got Shiny Wooloo in chat, and somebody from this current generation, the Sword and Shield generation, and Shiny Wooloo is literally the black sheep.
Of all the shinies, I've always liked the ones that have the most interesting colorations. So, it sounds like with one of the initial generations, it was pretty much inverting the colors. So you'll see, for example, like the nuclear green, radioactive Espeon.
That's a good one too.
Or the super pink jump buff. Oh my gosh, it's so pink!
So, speaking of pink, so is Heracross. Shiny Heracross is also super pink. Yeah, but as we're talking about shiny Pokemon, we do see that Friend of Mr. Golem did mark off the experience share spot on the card. Now, to get the experience share, you take that red scale that you got from the red Gyarados fight, and you go turn it back into Mr. Pokemon from all the way back at the beginning of the game, and he will give you the experience share. Also, obligatory orb, because it's an Electro, and you have to. And yes, I know I'm crossing speedrunning streams here. I don't care. So we are currently now in the Ice Cavern. This is an interesting little dungeon because, first of all, like every good JRPG, you need to have a dungeon with ice physics. Second of all, this is interesting because there is a specific thing you have to do here to ensure you get the waterfall HM. It's not given to you by an NPC. You have to get it on the ice skating path.
Yeah, ice mechanics. No, I would not advocate biking on ice. Very much would not recommend.
I mean, if you are good enough to bike on ice, then I salute you, whoever you are, because that is fantastic. And we have made our way all the way over to Blackthorne City, the final city here in the Johto region, where our last gym leader is going to be. This is where the gym leader, Claire, is going to be the dragon gym leader, normally in the vanilla game. But we don't care about Claire. We're not fair to Claire. We are here for one reason. Oh, hey, you hear that music?
That's the roaming primate. Way to go, person in chat who called that. That was Linkalian. Very good.
Yep, and you could tell, he said, as soon as we heard the music, because the normally legendary beasts, Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, they have their own special music here, so you know when you encounter them. So here we are good to go and grab this. You will also notice when you saw Friend of Mr. Golem's inventory after picking up this Primate, that we had multiple different Pokeballs, Pokeball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball, a couple others. That is the 5 different Pokeballs goal, so we have that good and ready to go.
Yeah, and he also set up one of the balls from Kurt as well, but it was not needed since they found balls on the ground. And here is this black belt, I believe it's Kenji, who gives you his phone number. And I think after a couple rematches, if you ever do fight it, he will give you an item as well. I've been looking into the items given by trainers for potential item randomizer stuff.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this once and once only. That is evil, and I love it.
You can thank ERC and all the guys who are working on that.
I'm not thanking anybody. I'm just saying it's evil, and I love it. We did finally get a look at what the Kenya was, and it was a Mareep, everybody's favorite fluffy electrical sheep, because, you know, what's better than wool that's been statically charged? And you all know I'm being
I happen to really like my sheep, okay?
Look, I don't care if you're being sheepish or not. It's just a bad look.
So the nice thing about Mareep is that it actually evolves very easily. It evolves at level 18, which means you can do that stop evolving for very quickly if they were to want that, if were to do that. Oh, and here we go, showing off Dex area beep. Friend of Mr. Golem showing that off, and if you heard that, you'll have heard the beeping 3 times. As he was dexing the Eradicate in Necrotique, telling him, hey, it's on an encounter slot on this floor. In this case, being Necrotique City, it's only in the water.
There is nothing wrong with that, and we have the Sweet Scent being moved up so we can use it in the water. Stantler being put to absolutely fantastic use here, as over on our right-hand side, we have Mew going up against the unable to fly, flying Scorpion Gligar, which I love me some Gligar, but Gligar didn't really get good until it got its evolution in Gen 4 with Gliscor.
That didn't stop it from getting a win in this tournament.
Gligar is amazing. It's got fantastic defense stats.
It's actually got a pretty good attack stat. Just don't use special attacks with it. It's got the lowest special attack stat that's not named Shuckle.
Yeah, no, I don't plan on using it. We do have the Eradicate here, though, so now Friend of Mr. Golem is absolutely going on the catching spree. Let's go catch all of these things.
So, I don't know if we have making Meowth information, but that would be leaning towards column 3.
We might not have Mankey Meowth information, but technically, if we want to, us as commentators, we do have Mankey information.
No,
because we know Primeape is a roamer, and we know where to find Ditto.
No. You do not suggest breeding strats. Breeding strats are not a thing.
I said we had information, and technically we have the information.
For those who are unaware, breeding strats are a really bad idea because you have to not only get the egg hatched, which can take a variable amount of time, actually usually a lot of time, especially if you're using a Ditto, since that's not the same species of Pokemon as the other one. It also takes an inordinately long amount of time to hatch based on your steps, and there's basically a check on every 255 steps. Or sorry, 256 steps. It is basically a last resort.
You know, I'm not saying we're the best rats. I'm saying we had information. That's all I was saying. And technically, I was correct. We have Shiny Bear Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, happening over on Rob the Gamer's side. And over here with Friend of Mr. Golem, we are looking for a Sunkern.
Yes, so Sunkern, it will evolve with Sunstone into Sunflora. Sunkern is actually Pokemon with the lowest base stats period in this, with 30 stats and everything. But luckily, it gets to evolve into its much happier cousin, with a simple tap on the forehead with a sunstone.
A simple tap on the forehead. I don't think there's anything simple about it. But we do have Rob the Gamer here going through the path to the Ice Cavern, the same way we saw Friend of Mr. Golem earlier. Again, this is probably a quick speed run through this to get to Blackthorne City to potentially grab the Ultra Ball, but also to go ahead and get the Black Belt called and done out of the way.
Yeah, the sooner you can have the Black Belt called, the better. Although, unfortunately, normally we delete the phone numbers so they stop calling us. But with Max Phone Book on the card, that's not something you want to do. And I am not quite sure what Friend of Mr. Golem is looking for here. Oh, besides the Sun Current, since he did catch it, I think.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing here because we have no Sun Current. This could be EVs we're looking for. Could be I think is EVs the only thing we have the information on.
It's been sort of hard to tell with both streams buffering at various times.
Yep. I think we were looking for the EV, but we determined that we're not there. You know, I mentioned the happy Pokemon before, and I know Slowbro was part of it, but seriously, look at how happy that Slowbro is with a giant shell clamped onto its tail.
Oh, it's kind of just found, well, its happy spot.
Also, sheep.
Unfortunately, Rob seems to have Rob's taken kind of an interesting path in the ice path with the boulders. Not taking sort of the most optimal pathing there, but the safest one for sure, to make sure not to push the boulder too far.
And sometimes I agree. I'm perfectly okay with taking the safe path as opposed to the quick path. And hey, Friend of Mr. Golem getting lucky here, finding a Flareon. That is going to be one of the 2 evolutions that we need to find.
That'll be good, because that provides him with the corner goal. And if he could figure out where that Ditto Smeargle is, he would be having at least a couple more bingos there.
We are now over in Blackthorne City with Rob the Gamer as we are attempting to continue to catch a wonderfully beautiful fire dog over there. And yes, it is a fire dog. Do not at me. It is a doggo.
Flareon?
It's doggo!
It's a fox.
It's a doggo.
I don't know what dog you've seen with that kind of floppy ear.
Well, I'm not petting a fox. I want to pet the dog, so it's definitely a doggo.
I don't see any logic with that. I don't see any flaws in logic, rather. I mean, it is something to be pet. Therefore, it must be a dog.
Exactly.
He seems to be paused on Friend Mr. Golem's side. That's his stream going still, but maybe he's trying to sit and think what his path is.
Or it could just be a potty break.
No strangers to that in mid-race.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that there, but we do have Mew and Kabuto happening over on our right-hand side, and Extreme Speed Kabuto. I'm sorry, that is just adorable to me. I want to see the little tiny shell skittering as best as possible.
Unfortunately, it doesn't stand a chance to an electric jab.
It's electric. Yep, I apologize for those of you who might be turning in just right now. That was me totally doing the electric slide.
Way to date yourself.
Is there a problem with the electric slide? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people know who the electric slide is. It's not that big of a deal.
Did they even teach it in school nowadays?
I don't know. I am far removed from that, so who knows? But yes, the sun current was caught again because we do need these sun flora. So we do have that goal. It's just a little happy little bop that we'll be getting with that. We are still looking for things here over in this route to the south of Ecruteak City. We've got ourselves a phone book goal. We've got ourselves a black belt being called here. Hey, there's an executor.
I maybe didn't catch that sun kern. And there you go, Rob the Gamer calling the black belt. You may be wondering, hey, Snowbear, why aren't we calling the person right there? Well, the phone call doesn't count unless you can actually reach them. And if you're on the same route as them, they say, hey, just talk to me instead.
Yeah, it literally tells you just to go talk to them. It tells you to stop being lazy. We do have the experience share pickup now over on Rob the Gamer side, which is going to make things a little bit easier for the evolving Pokemon goal if that is where we are trying to go.
He did have to empty some space in his bag, though, first.
Alright, but here we are. Now we are in the part of the game where we are going to figure out who is catching what, where, when, how, and all of that absolute fun stuff.
So Nidoking in Lake of Rage is very good because Lake of Rage is only that water, so it's got 3 slots of 60, 30, 10. So that's a very good spot to find it. And speaking about stop evolving 4 times, that Blissey would help a lot.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Blissey is an absolute fountain and font of experience here. But, you know, we're here now. We're going to go ahead and find ourselves a Nidoking, perhaps. We've got Mr. Golem here still searching this route to the south of Ecruteak City. And now that we're here, chat. And Snowbird, we'll get into this too. So I don't necessarily want to know which Pokemon game you started with, because depending on what age you are, it sort of depends on what game you started with here. And there's the Nidoking. I want to know what game your favorite one is. So chat, what's your favorite Pokemon game? And this can be, and I'm not talking just mainline, I'm talking about spin-offs, like, you know, like anything. Like you want to say it's Stadium, you want to say it's, you know, Coliseum, Conquest, you know. I might judge you for Conquest, Snowbear, but, you know, I want to know what it is. And no, Snowbear, Pokemon Go Home and Sleep does not count.
So, I think you may have cursed this race because FriendOfMrGolem is setting up a Primeape. That was his goal this entire time, was to set up Primeapes. He has both the male and female one, and as long as they are friendly with each other, they are more willing to make an egg. I hate you so very
I
much.
would like to point this out, that earlier in this race, Snowbear called me out for never suggesting breeding strats. And that's what we're getting right now, everybody. I just want to point this out, that we are getting breeding strats.
That's desperation strats.
So we've got Pokemon Soul Silver and Pokemon Pearl. You know, red for nostalgia reasons. We've got Mystery Dungeon, Red Blue Rescue Team there in chat. So Snowbear, I know you had the sarcastic answer in chat, but what is your actual favorite Pokemon game?
That's a really hard one to say, really. I think, even though I never played it, Pokemon Crystal has been my favorite. I mean, that's one that kind of been... I never played it until I started doing sort of these randomizers, but that's always been my favorite. As a kid, I actually never finished Pokemon Gold. I was too busy trying to finish all this stuff out, and I think playing the original generation just kind of lost its luster to me. But Pokemon Conquest definitely is kind of a backup one because it's more of the strategy type of game that I like.
That makes sense. And I'm not going to sit there and ask the question without giving my answer. I am very much a heart gold, soul silver guy. My rationale being for that, and the reason for being that, is because there's the whole that we have a second evolution there for friend of Mr. Golem as we're having this conversation. As I mentioned earlier, Scizor is my favorite Pokemon. So Gold Silver is when Scizor first appeared. But Heart Gold and Soul Silver took remade them, and just made them something more beautiful, more vibrant. And your Pokemon follow you! Like, how is that not the best thing ever?
To be honest, if I ever played that game, I would definitely like it. I did know that they added even other things as well. Like the Safari Zone, they brought back the Safari Zone, which is always fun to do. They also have some interesting different gambling games in the Voltorb Switch.
Voltorb Flip, yes. It's basically just Picross. Voltorb Flip is just Picross.
Yeah, I've always been amazed about the people who can just get so good at those games. I don't even know how to do it properly.
It's one of those things that I guess we can tell you when you're older. So we are continuing our look through here. We are doing some surfing on the water here, not to be confused with smoke on the water, different thing altogether. But hey, we've got ourselves a Lapras. We're also down over on Rob the Gamer side, making our way through Olivine, and we are getting a mineral badge check, y'all.
Yep. So this will be the first of those badges that's really good. Although Friend of Mr. Golem could also do that. Both of them could do that Glacier Badge Gold. But this one is for sure on both of their paths. As it will give both of them, well, an easy way of one bingo. Although we still need a total of 5 bingos. So the first bingo doesn't matter by itself. It's the total of 5 that matters the most.
I mean, it is called Cinco Bingo for a reason.
And meanwhile, we have Friend of Mr. Golem also climbing, although it seems like whatever was on Jasmine was no problem for Rob, as he dispatches of her Pokemon very quickly. Meanwhile, I believe Rob is going to be going for those swimmers now. It's a little bit more difficult to tell. But maybe it's a little bit different.
All right, we are back here. We've got some baby Jinx happening over on Friend of Mr. Golem's side. I say that because, of course, Smoochin being the pre-evolved form of the Jinx, and we are continuing up the lighthouse. This was another thing we're mentioning, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that they did absolutely beautifully was the lighthouse.
Yeah, all the innovations when they do the remakes, they always make it a lot more interesting kind of layouts. And they kind of really do make the sprite work well. That was the nice thing about those remakes, is that they really do put the time to kind of reimagine kind of the original places to kind of really update it with the new technology to best improve. Although it looks like Rob the Gamer's in Rocket Hideout. So this is one of the interesting parts, because we have the 3 different electrodes and we have 3 different traps, which are that can give you information that's not normally on in the Pokedex. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. You see Rob the Gamer saving here because when you do the traps, you must either defeat the Pokemon or catch them. You cannot run from them. So we see a lot of times people will save and reset. If they're really good about the cries, they can reset upon hearing the cry. Otherwise, just kind of seeing the Pokemon is kind of not too bad of an idea.
Alright, so far we've got Tauros and Staryu here in the Rocket Hideout. We have the Secret Potion picked up from Friend of Mr. Golem, which of course means we eventually will be able to fight Jasmine, not a problem. Time for the Electrodes and time for a Muck over there. And then, well, here's the question. We've seen the Primate threats. Are we going to see a couple of Mucks be caught for breeding Grimer?
I really hope it doesn't come down to that.
You sound so disappointed there.
I am crying in agony.
Why?
The fact that it's even gonna... If it ends up being the deciding factor of this match, I don't even know what to say.
Come on, that's amazing if that's the case. We also have a Golbat over here as the third and final Electrode. That, of course, does mean that if we wanted to, we could...
Oops, you can't teleport inside places there,
Nope,
Rob.
you gotta dig out of there.
Although, Rob only did see 2 of the traps, so there is one more trap he could find. Although he opts to take the teleport path out.
Friend of Mr. Golem here doing exactly what we expected him to do, and that is give Golem all the screen time. Because if your username is Friend of Mr. Golem, then Golem needs to have screen time.
There's nothing wrong with a baller like that.
I mean, you know, if you gotta, I mean, it'd be like you if you were playing, you know, hey, there's some information for Mankey for Rob the Gamers, that's fantastic. But it'd be like you if you were playing a Gen 4 game and we were streaming it, and you had a Cubchoo on screen, or you'd have to, you know, give it screen time, right?
Absolutely. Just don't ask me to touch its frozen snot.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that at all. We are going to talk about this secret potion that is being given to the Ampharos there at the top of the tower, and where this Mankey is that we have found.
So that is Route 44. That was Route 44, and Route 42 in Ice Path. So that's very good in sense of there's 10 slots here on Route 42, although Ice Path you could with Dexterity be more find one that's just 7 slots, but not too bad locations.
Nope, but we have a majestic-looking Regal Slowking here, which also awesome. We also have a Raichu over on the left-hand side. I'm not going to mention anything about a Raichu except for the last time I did commentary about this. There was a Raichu, and I think I can still hear it crying.
Look. Raichu in this tournament is undefeated, 3-0, to the chagrin of Hulk.
We're not going to mention names. We're going to mention the fact that Raichu has a very special superpower in these, in that it has the ability to bring out every Pokemon with Earthquake.
Oh, that's the most glorious part about it. Although we've had quite a similar episode in one of the other races with a certain Houndoom getting all the fighting moves on it.
With the dark typing of the Houndoom, of course, being weak to the fighting moves makes sense. We do have the Mineral Badge over here, and with that Mineral Badge, we have our first full bingo row. Column 1 for Friend of Mr. Golem, 2 Evolutions, 5 Pokeballs, a Mineral Badge, an Executor, and the Experience Share. No, I'm not naming what all 5 Pokeballs are.
As long as they just keep it in there and they don't use them, they're good to go. Although Rob is thankfully checking the waters for that Mankey Meowth, you are more likely to find the slots in the water. Since there's only 3 slots, it's 60, 30, 10. So the lowest, so you're most likely to find at least 2 slots there. Easily. And I wonder what Mr. Golem's looking after right now.
Well, probably trying to find a Pokemon of some sort, although I don't know which one. I mean, probably not the Mankey, because that's happening over in the breeding center, so... Coughing, Grimer, or Zubat, perhaps? Or maybe Onix and Scyther, who knows?
He might just be random slot checking and hoping to find something.
I mean, never a bad thing. We're at that sort of spot where random slot checking isn't the worst thing to do. And hey, we have another Mew over there. We have got a pig monkey over on Rob the Gamer's side. Mankey and Primate, of course, being pig monkeys.
Not to be confused with the angry man-bear pig that's currently in the breeding center.
I mean, so this is going to be the best part for Friend of Mr. Golem here. He's got the primates in the breeding center, and now he's going to get the Mankey information. The same information.
Sandy, who's been restored to the card.
No.
As Rob the Gamer gets his first bingo goal. Although he's going to have to find his Raticate, though.
The good thing about that is the Raticate is in both Blackthorne City and in Ecruteak City, which means, again, it's both just in the water, which, as you've been mentioned, is the 60%, 30%, 10% encounter chances.
So we know that Friend of Mr. Golem got it pretty easily. We'll still have to see with this one. Sometimes you can tell which slots they are by the levels they are. It's a lot more obvious with Blackthorne. As actually, that level 7 is the 10% slot. So he lucked into it. Because normally in Blackthorn Water, you get your teens at level 5 as the really rare encounter slot. In this case, it's just very low level rats. Although he's running out of Pokeballs. But he does get his second bingo row.
Yeah, Raticate has been acquired.
As Glacier Badge has been marked by Friend of Mr. Golem, did Rob finish? I don't think Rob did Price. He just left because it's not his goal.
He did leave because apparently not on the path he's got planned, got the information and got out. I think with the Mankey information, it changed what the plan was.
Oh, was Rob the Gamer breeding as well? Oh my goodness! What is going on? Please stop! No!
Wanna tell me again?
No, please, anything but this.
This is two people doing breeding strats.
What hell has frozen over for this to happen?
The hell that has me being right.
Just because you're right doesn't mean it should happen.
Doesn't mean anything, but it is hilarious. We do have the Glacier Badge happening now over here, which I think with the Zubat egg that Rob the Gamer has.
What I was getting, considering the sprite there, it was probably a Golbat that he caught. Golbat or Crobat.
It was the Crobat from earlier.
Yeah. Oh my god, what is this madness?
Also, we do have the experience share over being used here on Rob the Gamer side. You saw the Kenya being leveled up. That is the Merit that you were talking about here. So it looks like we are going for Stop the Same Evolution 4 times. And I love how I innocuously mention the concept of breeding strats, and I get immediately rebuffed, and both of our runners decide that that's the right call.
I am going to agree with the chat here that I'm going to need some liquor after this.
Yeah, but that specific person in chat talking about liquor, don't listen to him.
I am just more upset that I didn't catch Rob the Gamer doing it earlier. Might have been because we've been missing some of the action. But, oh my gosh, please. So now this is Kenya stopping twice. So the nice thing about Kenya, actually, and all the trade Pokemon, or Pokemon that are given to you that don't have your trainer ID, is that they gain experience at twice the rate. So, which means it's much easier to stop evolution several times.
Yeah, so that's going to be absolutely huge.
So, it looks like to finish up the route, we have column 3, row 4 for both of our runners. We have column 1 for Friend of Mr. Golem, and I guess to finish it up, we're gonna have either row 5, or actually we're gonna have column 5, I guess, for Rob the Gamer if he hatches that Zubat egg. We don't have fast hatching or fast egg making in this set in our settings. Otherwise it'd be a lot more reasonable. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the backup plan, is that corner goal. Although I think Rob should have information on Eevee since it was in Morty's gym.
Yeah, we do have the Glacier Badge and our third stop evolution on the Kenya. So we are almost there, ready to go. We've got TM16, which is Swagger, which, don't get me wrong, I love me the Swagger TM.
It's really interesting that neither runner has picked up the Frustration TM, sort of Return Frustration TM, nor have they climbed the tower to get to the very top to catch that Ho-Oh at the top. Sorry, Lugia is in Royal Islands, but you're not going to see that in the room because you don't have the Silver Wing to spawn it. Mr. Golem, yes, we'll need that to finish up. That will give him his last 2 bingo goals.
Yeah, so it is a matter of finding that Coughing Grimer or Zubat to get to where we need to go here. So this is a very interesting strategy here. We do have Friend of Mr. Golem, just as you mentioned, random slot checking things over and over and over again, as we have the Kenya stopped evolving yet again. So that might have been 3 times here. Oh, that is the 4th time. We have that coming up here. It will be the 4th time coming up. So this is a very, very interesting race, and I really, really hope it comes down to that breeding strat.
I think for the sake of all of our viewers, I'm going to hope it doesn't.
Why? 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 Because it's something that's so completely out of left field that it shouldn't make sense, but it does?
Oh, it makes sense. I just prefer not to think about it, although Friend of Mr. Golem did pick up the main key, though, on his own, so he's still not needing that goal. But Rob the Gamer can still go with that Zubat if it hatches. Look, if it goes down to him doing goldenrod bike loops, I don't even know what else to say. But this would be quite the ending. I have this. If it does hatch, it would be quite the ending.
It would be amazing, and we are going for the swimmers right now here. Oh my!
So with the swimmers and getting the TM goal, that would be another bingo there as well as that Zubat hatching would be the finisher. Although none of that's necessary because once he gets the swimmer's goal and the TM goal, he can catch the Ho-Oh. Or he could be like Friend of Mr. Golem and just catch a Ho-Oh out in the wild.
You know, not the random one we were planning on, but it'll work.
So Friend of Mr. Golem now, hopefully he finds a Pokemon that stops evolving 4 times. That'll be good for him. Or he could just look into an Onyx Scyther, since we've already cursed this enough.
Yeah, Onyx Scyther would also do it here. So this has gotten very, very interesting all of a sudden.
Also, I sure as hope Did Rob just choose to fight the 6 Pokemon swimmer?
Looks
That's
like we
like
have
the one swimmer you don't want to fight.
There's been a lot of things that have been happening that you don't want to do and are happening. You know what that is? That's awesome, and that's the best part about randomizers, is things like this. It looks like we are going in and we are catching the Bulbasaur here on Friend of Mr. Golem's side. That tells me we're going for the Stop the Same Pokemon Evolving.
That's a good idea. And it looks like, well, Rob's path is the 6 trainers are a little bit, it's definitely not the most optimal. But you never know. Sometimes they may just give you good information. So, I'm wondering, with Friend of Mr. Golem is going to decide to go to, well, I would have suggested normally Tin Tower, because then you have 3 stages and the level 40 you could beat up. But he's already got the Ho, so he doesn't need to climb the top of the tower. So I'm not even sure where he's going to go next.
No, we did pick up the TM, the TM21/TM27 return/frustration, and we have got full-on HM Slave Stantler here now with Whirlpool.
HM friend, but yes. It's just being a buddy and helping us out, going through the different places. I wouldn't be surprised if Rob is just trying to find a random Pokemon in Lugia's room. You know, the meme here is that Whirl Islands has got every goal pretty much out there. You just have to look hard enough.
I mean, I'm perfectly down with that. I mean, like I said, this is becoming the absolute craziness. Is will we find the Pokemon we're looking for before the egg hatches? I want the egg to hatch. But then again, I'm also certifiably, you know, against everything traditional that you've talked about here. So there is that as well.
I see nothing wrong with finishing up in Whirl Islands.
No, I mean, Whirl Islands was always an interesting thing because I was always a Heart Gold or a Pokemon Gold or a Heart Gold kid growing up. So when I ever had to go to the Whirl, I never went to the Whirl Islands unless it was in Heart Gold to get the post game Lugia. So I really don't know how to navigate through the Whirl Islands. I would absolutely need a map to do it. And we do have a Spearow over here on Friend of Mr. Golem's side. We are continuing to the south of the national park. We have got a Wigglytuff as well. Wigglytuff is always one of those interesting things because my memories of Wigglytuff have nothing to do with the game. Oh, there's a Vaporeon for Rob the Gamer.
Yeah, there was a little bit of time. That was his second evolution, so that's why he was beelining out of it to get that TM. That should finish him up, actually.
Yeah, so the interesting thing here is, as I mentioned, with Wigglytuff, my memories of Wigglytuff have nothing to do with the Pokemon games and everything to do with the card game, where Wigglytuff's card had the move Do the Wave, and I just remember that for some unknown reason.
Hey, it was actually a really good way to do it. You just fill up your bench, and you just go to town. It has been really, it was one of the better ones of those original Pokemon cards made by Wizard of the Coast. Before a Pokemon company, I think, took over and started making it on their own.
Yeah, no kidding. But from the looks of things over here, once Rob the Gamer takes out this last swimmer, it's a beeline to TM21/27, and that is going to do it, because that'll be the 5. We've got row 1, row 3, row 4, column 1, column 2, and technically column 3 as well.
Yeah, so we're a little bit more delayed here. But yeah, this will be a very quick finish for him. So Rob the Gamer will, once he gets to this, assuming Friend of Mr. Golem has not done.
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as we wanted it to come down to that Zubat egg hatching, everybody. I mean, let's be honest, the best thing would be to hatching right before we get to the counter. That would be the best thing to happen, is the egg hatches right before you get to the TM counter. But I think we're just going to get the TM 21/27 win, I suppose, to that.
Thank goodness for Sandy winning in the end. Sorry, it's been a lot of buffering, so we did mark this, so we did know he was going to win, but very well. GG, Rob.
Ah, that was stressful.
You have pleased TGE with your breeding strats.
Dude, I was like, this is my backup plan of backup plans.
What's funny about that is you weren't the only one to do it. Mr. Golem had 2 primates in there doing the same thing until he got the making information.
Yeah,
oh, that's
so
funny.
Friend of Mr. Golem caught the roaming primate, and then found the female primate and was breeding them before he got the information about the Mankey.
Oh my god. Can we talk about how I almost didn't see that I could win with column 2?
I was wondering what took both of you guys so long to find out, but wow, that was pretty good.
I wasn't even paying attention to column 2 at all for some reason. That just blocked out of my mind until I was like, okay, I have 4 bingos, let's look this over, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. I only have 1 more swimmer. I probably have the TM. If he got the TM, I probably have it.
Yeah, but GG, it was a little bit, it was hard for us kind of, I think, watching both of you guys had kind of alternating, pausing streams for us.
Oh no.
So we weren't able to catch all that much, but you did find that Mew early on. Both of you guys did.
So
although it seemed like for you, it was a little bit easier to get in than him. But what did you think? I guess I marked both of you guys the sleep move. I think you guys were checking it before, but you may forgot to mark it.
It's one of those things where, at least for me, early on, I'm focusing more on a main and less on goals. So it's really easy for me to be focusing on, okay, what move set is runnable, and less, okay, this is a goal. So that's something that I've just never been good with. At least in the first, 10 minutes. If I'm looking for it, then by all means I'll see it, but yeah. No, as soon as you marked off both of them, I figured it was on the Mew.
Yeah. Although, that
What was that?
I have no idea. To answer the question you asked earlier, no, Mr. Golem found an Entei and mained that instead. Within 5 minutes,
the Entei on 29?
Within 5 minutes, it was Mew, Entei, Articuno. Pick your genderless Pokemon. Which one do you want to main?
Oh, the Entei on 29.
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw that Entei as well, but I saw it before I had balls. Because I thought about going back and maining it, but I decided against it. And
Yeah.
I guess if there was an earlier Articuno, I didn't see that at all.
And then you went and caught that Magneton, right, for your 3rd genderless?
No!
Or no, it was the Ditto.
I did. I got Ditto, Mew, and then I found Entei on 43.
I am still amazed that you put the Crobat in as your backup of all backup plans.
I mean, it's one of those things where I thought about it. Also, I'm not the best with Pokemon cries. I was very upset when I heard the cry in the basement, and I thought it was Zubat, and it was Golbat.
Oh.
I was like, damn it, I thought that was Zubat's cry.
To be honest, I didn't even hear it. Like, oh, finding the Pokemon, encountering it?
Huh? No, it was in the Rocket basement.
Oh,
Rocket
right.
It was like the 3rd Electrode.
Oh, I guess, yeah, that one.
We mentioned it because we were joking about the Crobat breeding at that point.
Yeah, well, I knew that was going to be my backup plan. That's why that was the first thing I did when I got Fly. I was like, alright, as soon as I got Fly, drop that off, because if that's going to have a shot in hell, I need to try to start getting an egg immediately.
The good thing is, though, you were evolving that Maripa very quickly. I don't think Friend of Mr. Golem looked to see that the Kenya was the Maripa where you got the nice double experience boost. So while you're going through Price's gym, hitting a few more trainers there, you were able to get that going. Although your choice of swimmers was a little bit interesting.
Oh, in just doing a bunch of trainers in Price's gym?
Well, but it was also you chose the 6 Pokemon swimmer. Was there any kind of reason for that?
Partially, I'm not the best with knowing which swimmers are good, but I was okay with hitting it because There was a chance it gave Dex data. I mean, the fact that I got that Vaporeon, that was a complete shot in the dark. So...
Yeah, so
I
did
mean-
you didn't have Vaporeon information at all. It was just you went into Whirl
No,
Islands blind?
I just went into Whirl Islands because I was starting to think of places to check that he didn't check. So I figured while I'm doing the swimmers, let's pop in Whirl Islands and just check a couple slots. And then if that didn't work out, I was going to go to Sprout Tower.
Those are both good places to look for ideas. I mean, we always joke about Whirl Islands having everything. Although this time it turned out much better for you looking in Whirl Islands than the last time.
Oh my goodness, yeah. First thing I find, I lost my mind when I saw that Vaporeon. I was like, oh my god. This might actually work.
For those who are just kind of figuring out, Rob did, I think, one of his previous matches, and unfortunately he was looking for 2 Pokemon in Whirl Islands. Found neither of them. But found something else to help to finish up the card.
Yeah, I think I was spent like a good 15 minutes looking there. I would have spent a while looking there earlier, but... No, I ended up working out. I wasn't going to go through the entirety of Whirl Islands. I was just like, I'm going to enter, not even move, just check where I'm standing, and then...
Although, the good news is with this win, your tournament stuff is still alive.
Yeah. I knew this was a make it or break it match, so... And honestly, even if I lose the next match, the fact that I at least won a match, I'm happy with that, you know? I'm at peace with that. So,
Definitely, kudos. Well done.
yeah, so... We'll just have to see what happens in my last match. But man, that was stressful. So... Also, clearly, I'm very happy with the play I made of not catching the Ditto in the first, like, 10 minutes. Because if I caught that Ditto, I probably would have lost.
I didn't even realize that you saw a Ditto.
I saw a Ditto on 31.
Oh my...
And I ran away from it because I didn't want him to know that Ditto was there. And then I found Ditto again on, I think, 33 it was.
Yeah, 34. He found the Nidoqueen there, but you found the Ditto there instead. So that was really good.
Oh, so that's what he did for the Nido? Okay. I wasn't sure because I had Nidoking data from... I had Nidoking data from my rival and from Right Twin in Bugsy's gym. So I figured he had done one of those for the Nidoking data, or just gotten lucky in Lake of Rage, because that was the first thing that came up in Lake of Rage was the Nidoking. So... But yeah, no, if I had gotten that Ditto early, it would have been over for me. He would have won.
So I guess the question here is, any other final thoughts about this, about the term here, or this match, and going into your last match here?
This match could have gone either way. I got lucky. That's really all it comes down to, is who was going to get lucky. Was it I going to get the evolution I needed, or was he going to get the Ditto or Smeargle he needed? So, you know, GG.
GG, well played, and hopefully when we'll definitely see you around for your next match, which is, I think you're going to schedule against Uncle Ira, right?
Yeah, but we haven't scheduled it yet, so I'll probably reach out to him real soon.
Well, thank you for joining us, and congrats again on this win. And thank you for restoring our sanity, for not having to depend on breeding strats.
You mean the Scizor breeding that friend of Mr. Golem is doing right now?
Oh, these breeding... Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Actually, I did see a Scizor at one point.
Yep, he went back to Route 32 to get that.
Yeah, it was fishing.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah,
doing currently Goldenrod laps. But anyways, thank you so very much. I think definitely follow both of our runners here. And my fellow commentator, TG, who's spared me some who's helped me out here, although he's made me lose some of my sanity.
My question is, how can you lose things you don't have?
Good point.
Thank you. But
It is a very good point.
First, make sure you do follow both of our runners here, as you can see the information for them coming up in the chat. You don't have to follow me, no need to, but go ahead and give Snowbird a follow as well. Also, there's the information for the Crystal Cinco Bingo tournament there in chat. You can go to the chat lounge, see all of our groups to see who's going where, doing what, when, where, why, and how. Also, you can go ahead and click the link to join the Discord as well.
We have lots of races coming up, especially with this tournament. We've been having people asking for races all the time. So just hop on in, and we are more than willing. If you're new, don't worry. We're more than willing to help you out. We love helping out new people. So with that, we will see you soon, as we have one other match currently going on, and then we will have another match here on Speed Gaming at 5 o'clock. It will be Montebank versus Diego Armando, so that is going to be a very hype match.
Yeah, so again, thank you all very much for watching, and on behalf of the crew here at Speed Gaming who make these all possible no matter what the restream race is, and my broadcast partner here in the booth, Snowbear, I am TG, reminding everybody to, of course, as always, keep hailing.